30th of December, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay, good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
Okay, we are ready to go here. Let's see, what we got up to here? Okay, so yeah. Okay, so we were analyzing the words of the Brisa yesterday. And particularly the words of the Brisa of the Seifa. Ella, Ema Seifa. That this it says Almanas, that if the Lokeach spoke out orally to the seller that this sale was being made Almanas, that the Reish Galusa will deed him a contract to the property, that he's purchased the property from him. So in that case, the Mishnah says Kofino, so Reish Galusa Limkor, we forced the Reish Galusa to sell the property and to write this contract. So Gemora says, Amai, why would we force him? Why, meaning, why does the Bezdin have the authority and the wherewithal, but based upon the facts of the case that we have, that they could prevail upon the Reish Galusa to do so? Because what's the Reish Galusa going to say? Lema, Reish Galusa, let the Reish Galusa say as follows: Loi, lo yikaraichu be'ina. I don't need your covet. Lo zilusaichu be'ina, and I don't need your degradation either. As though to say, I don't need your the covet that you are giving me, that you're making me like the prince over here, and the important person who's going to strike fear into people to not start up with this person who wants to purchase the land, that they're gonna contest him on the property, and if my name is involved, the people will be afraid for me, so that gives me honor. Below zilu saichu, and not my degradation either. I don't need that degradation that you would dictate to me that I should sell this field. And so therefore, with that, he's saying that I don't need to go through this charade as though to say that I bought the land and I'm now selling it to this guy. The whole thing is a made-up thing. No one ever spoke to me. No one ever said anything to me. I never agreed to any of this. So leave me out of it. Why does the Mishnah say that we could force the Reish Galusa? According to the account that we have so far in this story about what happened, it makes absolutely no sense. So that's the Gemora's question. Okay. Now let's go to Ela Omar Abaye. Now let's see what Abaya has to say. Seems like the Gemara has rejected what we said so far in the interpretation of this Mishnah here, and let's see what Abaya says that can they can make this brisa rather this brisa sound a little bit more sensible. Okay, so Lou, would you like to read the Gemara?
Ella Amar Abaye. Rather, Abaye said, Hachi Kamar. This is what it's saying. Halokeach Sadeh B'Shem Chavero Reish Galusa. One buys a field in the name of his fellow, the Reish Galusa. 103, hooray!
Oh, that was a
Kofim es hamocher limkor zimna acharesa. We do not force the seller to sell it a second time. The Amar lo al menats. And if he said on condition, Kofin es hamocher limkor. He told the seller to sell so it's changing it a little bit. Abaye is changing it a little bit. He's saying that the person that is coming under the question of does he have to sell it, it's not the friend or the Reish Galusa, rather it's the seller. We don't force the seller to sell it a second time. Or if he says on condition, we do force the seller to sell it a second time.
right. Okay. So we have a Rashi over here. Maybe Rashi will fill in some of the details for this case. We have one on the bottom of the previous page.
It really continues. It's a one run on Rashi. Hachi kama. This is what it says. Halokeach sadeh. Someone who purchases his friend b'shem rave, b'shem chaveru, in the name of his friend, the Reish Galusa. Ein kofi medchameh. You don't force the seller. Lachzor, to go back. Uliktov, and to write a star mechira, a star of purchase. Acher, another star of purchase. You don't do it again. The lokeh for the purchaser. Shahaya lo, because it was to him. Lehit note, to give it to him. Ulahodia, and to inform him. Katuv Stare, that he wrote these stars, Shem Reish Galusa, in the name of the Reish Galusa. You should have told him that. She'im Yotzo Asikim, and if it went out this business deal, Areh Lehem, it showed it to him. Shehu Shel Reish Galusa, that he showed him this, that it's from the Reish Galusa. v'katov li, and he writes for me a star acher, another star, b'shmei, in the name, shelo, in his own name, shelo yovia, that he will not bring hayom today, or machar, or tomorrow, Yarshe Reish Galusha, the inheritors of the Reish Galusha, Litovat Mimena, will be able to claim it from me. They'll have a claim against me. Not an easy racket.
Okay, so okay, so it sounds like what we're saying over here is that as far as the first part of the Mishnah, the Brisa goes, that we say Lokeach Sada b'Shem Chavero, meaning according to what the Rav, who was it? Rav Shesha said, the Reish Galusa. Whether these words should be here, Reish Galusa, or not, seems to be a discussion that, in any case, that's who we mean, and we're talking about a case where a person, the Lokeach, he's acquiring the field for himself, but he says that he says to the seller that he's acquiring the field for the Reish Galusa. So it's a similar story to what we had before, really, with the same intention. Not that really the Reish Galusa is going to be the one who acquires the field at all. He wants to acquire the field, but he wants to drop the name of the Reish Galusa in order to scare off anyone who would contest him on the ownership of the property. And so therefore, accordingly, the Lokeach is going to write the first star the star is going to be written with the mocher as being the seller. The mocher is being the seller, and it's we could even say that on the first star it's going to say that the property is being sold to the Reish Galusa. That he is the Lokeach. Now we'll see in a moment why it is that he wants this first star to be written, and now we're going to see why he wants this second star to be written. Now, if that's the only star that's written, well, that's the first. That's what the Brisa. That's what the words the first part of the Brisa mean. That's basically exactly like we've said so far. But the Seifa, now in that case, we say we can't force the Reish Galusa to write any. Well, 1 second. Who is it that we're going to force? Here we're talking about the Ein Kofines Amocher Limkor Zimna Achrisi. We cannot force the seller, in that case, to write a second star of a star of a deed of sale that he's selling the property a second time. That's what we said so far. Let's see the Rashi over here. Ein kofinas a mocher. So the difference between this pshat and the pshat that we had previously is that we were talking about we can't force the Reish Galusa to write a star. Here we're saying no, it's not talking about the Reish Galusa. We're not asking him to do anything. We're talking about the mocher to write a second star. And that's what the Brisa means when it says we don't force him to write a second star. Says Rashi, "Ein kofin es amoker lachzor b'liktov star mechira acher lelokeach." We don't force, in this case, we don't force the seller to write a star mechira to the lokeach, to the lokeach, we don't force him to do such a thing.
Alan, please mute.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
Shahayalo lahasnos ulahodioi. Katuv shtari b'shem reish galusa she'im yotzu asikin eralehem shuhu shel reish galusa. In other words, so in the Reisha, where do the case where the Reisha of the Brisa is talking that we cannot force the mocher to write the second star is because Rashi says shahayalo lahasnos ulahodio, because it behooved, it was upon the buyer, rather, it was upon the buyer that if that's what he wanted the seller to have to do, then he should have had to make a stipulation with him, lahasnos, ulahodio, and inform him openly. And now it's what would he have to inform him of? Says Rashi, Ketov shtari b'shem reish galusa, write my star in the name of the reish galusa, that he will be the name that's listed as the purchaser of the property. And if you'll ask, what on earth does this lokeach want this star for, that says that the reish galusa is the buyer of the property? So explains Rashi. And here comes Roy. All the exciting news is coming today. Why does he want that? She'im yotzu asikin, because if people come to challenge this lokeach and say that you're not the real owner of this property belonged to my great grandpappy, and all this type of nonsense, and they're going to start up with the guy. So the guy's going to pull out this first star, and he's going to say, "Oh, well, you know who owns this property? You know who you need to start up with? You need to start up with the reish galusa. So you, instead of bothering me, go to the reish galusa and start making your claims against the reish galusa." Then the guy will walk away with his tail between his legs, and that'll be the end of the story. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning, Rabbi Levitt.
Glad you're able to join us.
Yeah, I feel a bit better now.
We hope you're feeling better.
I am a little bit. Thank you.
Good to see you, Roy.
Thank you. Where are you?
We just got on to Kuf Gimel. Oh, and that reminds me, we have to have a round of applause for Kuf Base, Ahmed Base. Hooray!
Okay.
Now we're on this Rashi on the top of the Amud, and Rashi is saying that when the Brisa says we're going to force him to sell, if the lokeach says almanas, meaning that Rashi explains that he makes a condition and informs the mocher, the seller, about this condition. And what is that condition? that condition is that he has to write to him a star, one star that says the name of the purchaser is the Reish Galusa, which he will use to show to people that start up with him and contest him in regard to the true ownership of the property that he has purchased. And then when they see this star with the Reish Galusa's name on it, they're going to skulk away and not start up anymore. And then he says, Ukatov, secondly, Rashi says, Ukatov li, and also write for me, star acher, b'shmi, right? A star, another star acher, b'shmi, in my name, that this star will say that I am the owner of this property. I am purchasing the property from you, the seller. Now, what does he want that star for? This guy, he's asking this mocher to write him 2 staros, and so this star, explains Rashi, the reason why he wants that star to be written, the second one, is shelo yavo hayom olamachar yorshe rosh gola. He doesn't want that the inheritors of the Reish Galusa are going to come to him and say, oh, we heard that our father owns this property that you are occupying. So please get off. In that case, this Lukeach is going to now pull out the second star. And the second star says, oh, excuse me, but this star clearly states that I was the one that acquired the property from the previous owner. So as far as you're concerned, you can go and get lost. Okay. So this is the new explanation of Abaye, of the Brisa. And so like this, the Gemora says that if he did in fact make such a stipulation with the seller, he informed the seller of exactly what it is that he expects the seller to do, and in that case, then this that it says in the Brisa, Kofin Oso, we force him to write these documents. That is referring to the mocher, and like that, the Gemara feels that that's a reasonable way to explain the Brisa. The mocher is not going to be able to say, "What do you want from me? Nobody told me anything. I didn't agree to this. Leave me alone. I don't need your covet. I don't need your zilusa." No, that was what the seller agreed with you. That those are the terms of the deal. That he wants to have these 2 shtaros being written. So in that case, then the Bezdin will be able to force him to write this second shtar. Okay, if he didn't do so. Okay, so that now brings us up to Omar Mar. And this Omar Mar is the 3rd line from the top of Kuf Gimel Amid Aleph, 103a. And now we'd like to call upon Alan to continue the reading.
Okay, Omar Mar, the master said, in effect, in the Brisa, Kalo Keach Sodes B'Shem Chevero. If one buys a field in the name of his fellow, Ein Bofin Es Hamocher Lima Kor Zimnor Risi. We do not force the seller to sell it to him a second time i.e., to write for him a second deed, this time in his own name. The Gemara asks, Peshita, it is obvious that we do not force the seller to write another deed in his name. Why does a brisa have to teach this?
It's obvious that we don't force him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Seems like there's a lot of bullying going on.
Ein chavero, ein kofin es hamocher limkor zimna akrisi. Oh, so okay, so the Gemara is focusing on the reisha of this brisa. Remember, keep in mind, there's actually two parts to this brisa. The first part of the brisa says that we don't force the mocher to sell a second time. If the lokeach makes the stipulation and informs him that this is what he wants, so then that's part of the deal. Then we do force him. That's the seifa. So the Gemara is focusing on the ratio where the lokeach did not make a formal stipulation with the seller to this effect that he's expecting him to write a second star to him personally. So in that case, the Reisha says he cannot be forced, the seller, to write a second star. So the Gemara asks on that pshita. Obviously, he cannot be forced to do so because it wasn't part of the deal. What's the brisa telling me? It's obvious. Okay, so on that, the Gemara answers, Ma'uda Tema. No, it's not obvious, because what might you have thought to say? Let's read this part of the Gemara now, Ma'uda Tema. We call upon Roy to continue the reading.
Ma'uda Tema, Mitzay Amar Lay. You might have said that the buyer can say to the seller, Maida Yidaya Das Dana Lanafshay Shakilna. You surely knew that I was buying the field for myself. Ufana Chaya Alama who the cover Una, and that it was merely as a security measure that I wanted the deed made out in the name of Reish Galusa. V'zuze b'chadi lo shadaina, and it was self-understood that I would not throw out money for nothing and buy the field without proper documentation. Elo adalto dechosav le shatoro harino. Rather, it was with the understanding that you would write for me another deed in my name. Ka mashama lan. The Tana of the Brisa therefore informs us that the seller need not provide a second deed. Du'ama le anayena avadei lach b'havadi hu dezavmati le bashamay. For the seller might say to him, I presume that some kind of stipulation was made with the one in whose name you bought the field. Yichtav lach shatara rino, and that he would write for you another deed.
Right.
So it was never self-understood that I would write you a second deed.
Mhm. Right? In other words, if you're asking, the seller's got a very good claim over here. The seller's saying, what? You thought that I was going to do something that what I figured was that if you wanted me to write in the name of the Reish Galusa as the one who's the real owner of this property, then you must have of course you're not going to throw your money out for nothing. But I figured that you were going to talk to Reish Galusa and tell him to, I did this deal over here with this guy, and I need you to write me a star. Would you be so kind to do so? And so that I will be, I won't have any problems with people that are contesting the property. I won't have any problems with your relatives and inheritors, after 120. And please, could you do that for me? Do you think this makes sense? What the Mocher is saying over here?
I don't know how we can.
Yes, I think
How likely do you think it is that that this Lokeach is going to go knock on the door of the Reish Galusa and make a deal with him like this?
it isn't, but the seller doesn't know their
Won't even open up
relationship.
the door for it.
I disagree. I think it's very likely. Why would he? How would he have the chutzpah to drop the name of the Reish Galusa if he hadn't already got approval from it? I would never do that. I would never say to somebody, okay, Rabbi Levitt backs me up on this. If I hadn't first talked to Rabbi Levitt and said, is it okay if I use your name?
Oh, I think the point is like if you say somebody like the Reish Galusa, it's self-understood that this person who's just an ordinary individual, he doesn't really have any dealings with the Reish Galusa, and he would be afraid to knock on his door, and even if he wouldn't. Even if he would have the temerity to knock on the door, how likely is it that the Reish Galusa would give him an audience? And even if he did give him an audience, how likely would it be that the Reish Galusa says, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that favor for you. I'll go to the store and I'll buy a document and I'll write it up and don't worry, I know how to do that. And yeah, sure, no problem." To me, it sounds absolutely ludicrous.
Okay, but let's turn it around. If it's so ludicrous, then the subterfuge is not going to work. Who's going to believe it? They say, oh yeah, Lou Friedrichs bought this property for president of the United States. So they're going to say, come on, Lou Friedrichs doesn't know the president of the United States. This is nonsense. So the substitution is going to work. The whole thing is useless. It's only going to work if it is believable. It's only going to be believable if instead of using the president of the United States, I use somebody that you could believe. Like I said, Rabbi Levitt. Then somebody could say, okay, Lou Friedrichs might know Rabbi Levitt. He might call him up. He might get approval.
It's one thing for the mocher to assume that that's what this guy did. As far as that goes, to me, that's ludicrous. It's another thing for this guy who's coming to start up with the Lokeach and on the ownership of the field, and the guy says, "Look here, the star says the owner of this field is the Reish Galusa. So don't start up with me. The Reish Galusa is the owner of the field." Even though he might think, how likely is it that this guy who's sitting on this field is a tenant of the Reish Galusa? Is that so ludicrous? I don't know. I don't know how ludicrous it is. the Reish Galusa doesn't live here, but he owns the property, and so I'm not the owner. Don't start up with me. The guy, even if he thought that it was a bit of a tall tale, he's not gonna risk the possibility that the Reish Galusa can he's not going to risk the possibility of actually starting up with the Reish Galusa if it's true Reish Galusa is the real owner of this property. The fallout is much too severe. So it depends on what side of the fence you're standing. It's convenient for the seller to say, he didn't, Anyway, but that's what the Gemora. This is what the Gemora does in order to save the interpretation of Abaye. And even though this tema may not be such a strong Havamina, but that's the rule when it comes to, this is actually the basic rule that we have when it comes to learning Gemara, that the Havamina doesn't have to be the best, most logical Havamina in the world that there could be, but even a minimally logical Havamina will do in order to save the brisa over here. And I think, to me, this is what I think is happening over here. That like that we're saving the brisa, the interpretation of the brisa that Abaye is saying over here. We can't say that it's definitely not so. Okay. Now, do we have any Rashi? No.
Just one.
Yeah.
Anina, is it? Or
There is gotta catch that thing. Isn't it Upincha, where it says this? That's where it starts. Upanchaya ba'alma hu de be'idan. It's turned it, for by itself, a security by itself needs it. Koloma to say lahatzala, in order to save himself. Nikavanti, I intended it. That's what he intended it to do. Enachti is a lashon of chazek, and it's a language of strengthening.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Chavero and his friend Baha Isha, and it's and her friend and strengthening and his friend, and it's in this pasuk the Isha Shalom and Yabamos. That's where it comes from. This thing, the panchia, to this strengthening. Shviki Gabi is also matzah fine. Matzah clay, you found a utensil, and it's written on it. Kuf is a korban. Mem is maaser, and the tough is truma. It's like abbreviations here. There's three abbreviations. Kuf, mem, tet, standing for that. Not quite sure what. Rashi's getting back into his grammar state.
Yeah, this is. I think the only way we'll be able to understand why Rashi brought this Gemora over here is if we look up this Gemora. Doesn't sound like it is a full explanation over here of What, in other words, what is Rashi doing over here? He's he's giving a translation of this word panchia. What does this word over here, panchia, really mean? Panchia ba'almahu b'kavina. He did he's fixed over here a mere panchia. As she says, panchia is a lahatsola is kavanti. I intended this for hatsola. Like we mentioned, in order to save the field from the hands of would-be starter uppers who's going to start up with me and contest the ownership of the property. So then Rashi goes into a exposition of what this word panchia actually means. He says it's a lashon of chozek. Haveru be'isha shalom. That's the name of a parak in Yavamas. Lepanchia shavke. For a chizik, he left it. He left it for a chizik. Gabi Motza Kli. He found a vessel, and it's written on the vessel. It's written on the vessel the letter Kuf, and that stands for korban. That there's something over here that is going to be used for korban, and Mem is for Meiser, and Tuf is for Truma. Let's take a look. We have some time. Let's just take a look in this Gemora in Yavamas.
It's actually too late now.
Too late? Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm going to be on the road, so I'll try to catch in through there, but we'll be either driving or something. I don't know.
Okay, we always welcome your picture, Lou, on the road. I mean, Phil.
Yeah.
Wherever you,
No, Lou, you see them.
wherever your travels will take you, on the
Yeah,
bus,
okay.
in the car.
Tomorrow it's a car thing. I'm going to have to visit the kids.
Oh,
Hanukkah
okay.
Sameach.
Hanukkah Sameach.
Hanukkah Sameach.
So Rabbi Levitt, what does Panchia then, what's it mean? Sort of what we think it means? What do we think it means?
Rashi says it's a language of chosek, of strengthening. And over here, the strength in this context, the strengthening is the strengthening of this lokeach's ownership of the field, and that's why Rashi used the word hatzola. He's to save the field from people that are going to start up with him and contest his ownership of the field. So that's what his claim is. The lokeach's claim to the mocher is obviously you surely understood that my whole plan over here in having you write the name of the Reish Galusa was so it was a panchia ba'alma. It was a mere saving to strengthen my ownership of the property, to save it from people that would start up with me and contest my ownership. And therefore, you understood that you would be required to write me a star that actually does say that I am the owner of the property, in addition to the one that you wrote me that says that the Reish Galusa is the ownership of the property. And Rashi explained why he wants to have both of them, to save them from Orim, people that are contesting, and then also to save them from the inheritors of the Reish Galusa, who say, yeah, the Reish Galusa owned the field, so we want the field. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best.